We're doing this a little bit earlier than I generally do these. I was tempted to stream yesterday, which would have been out of the norm, but that was just because I thought a lot of the topics here I might forget about or not be able to discuss as well as I had thought of yesterday. Because a lot of times when I have an idea, I always try to express it in some capacity before um, getting over to what's the way of saying it, doing it somewhere else. So, like for example, if I am thinking of a story idea, I'll very quickly try to find something to write that down on because of the chance of possibly forgetting that idea. I have a lot of just ideas that come to me just randomly, or just like when I'm just sitting somewhere, like, oh, I like this, and I write it down. Um, the basic premise of this stream is the idea that when you want to do something and it requires another person, even if it's just one person, even if it's something you might consider small or not that enormous in terms of its aspiration, as long as someone else has to be involved for it to happen, it's always going to get screwed over. It's almost impossible to fathom it actually occurring. So, for example, um, I go around my neighborhood sometimes, and I've talked about the employment situation before, and I go to these different places, and they say something to the effect of now hiring, um, just over and over again, right? Caught you at the right time. Just happened to be on YouTube. Oh well, I'm glad you caught me at the right time. But my point with in mentioning the places is that the you go out into the real world, the actual reality, and you see these places that are saying help wanted, now hiring, and that would make a person who is, I guess, not as familiar with how ridiculous these places are actually believe, oh, it's very easy to get employed somewhere. This is totally not difficult in the slightest. Because I know that before I was seeking out employment, I thought, just apply to a bunch of places, and eventually somewhere will say yes, and and it was really an aggravating experience to have what happened happen a couple of weeks ago, because I learned that even if you get hired somewhere, because I always envision this idea that you tell these people on your application, I did this with every single one I filled out, that you want to work 40 hours a week, which is, regular work hours that a person who works full time would have so they could take care of themselves. And this place, after seeing you write on this application that you want to work 40 hours, it's written there in black and white, decides to give you less than half of that. So now, even though you've achieved your goal of wanting to work somewhere, you're faced with two dilemmas. You either confront these people over the fact that they're barely giving you any hours and risk getting fired, or having some kind of repercussion happen, or look for a second job. And you're like, why can't this place just do what was asked of them in this application? This isn't something you're springing on them at the last minute. You're telling them before they hire you, I would like to work full time. And they're basically sticking their middle finger in your face. I can say it is not easy. Most companies have automated resume systems that receive thousands. I went for a small to mid-sized business and called them. Yeah, I would call a lot of those places as well. Um, and unfortunately, with some of them, they're so desperate to not hire people that they will interview someone and then lie to you. Like I gave the example of how there was this one place 2 years ago that I called after having an interview that supposedly went well, and then the manager lied and said, "Oh, I called you, but you didn't answer yesterday, so I hired another candidate." And I knew he was full of crap because I gave him my phone number, and I have that restaurant's number saved in my phone. Again, at the time this happened, so unless he called me from some magic other number that didn't go through, I didn't believe it. Yeah. Well, remember, James, that if you actually count the number of work days, it was 5 days before I got the first threat, and my first day of doing stuff in the kitchen. So it wasn't even a few weeks time before they were, before the manager over there was acting like a clown. So yeah, I don't understand these places at all. That situation, along with that thing that happened with that broad on Instagram, are just I'll be left scratching my head over those for a long time because they didn't make any sense to me. And we haven't even gotten into the chick stuff yet. I just want to lay the premise of how you would think, because of how many people have jobs, have worked, that it would be simple to get one. Maybe not, apply to only a few places, but if you just keep applying to different places and you tell them what you want, you can get somewhere that at the very least is accommodating of that basic need. Because you're not asking to do 50 hours, 40 hours because you want to have fun. You're asking so you can take care of yourself. Um, and again, I don't feel sympathetic toward these businesses because on every application I ever did, I always said 40 hours. Yeah, Banana, I couldn't believe it. You really should, because like when they're doing these interviews, right? They sound so sympathetic. Oh, you'll make mistakes, da 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 da. And then the first day of you doing this stuff in the kitchen, he gets so enraged after was like 2-3 hours, was half a shift on a Saturday, as to threaten to get rid of you if you don't miraculously improve so much the next time you're there. And then apparently you improve on your sixth day to where they decide to keep you, and then they get rid of you 3 work days later and 2 weeks later. It's like, what? That reminds me of, somebody actually did an essay on The Dark Knight, and they were talking about how generally in superhero films, if the love interest is a damsel in distress, the hero has to save her one time, and then the audience says, okay, well, they saved them this one time during the movie, so they're safe. And that's why her death is so effective, because it's a character who you see get saved by Bruce earlier in the movie, and then you're like, all right, well, she's fine because she just got saved from the villain and gets killed by the villain later. So you lowered your guard because the norm of the hero saving his love interest already occurred, and you think, okay, well, they're just not going to put her in harm's way for the rest of the film, let alone actually let her get killed off. And it was the same thing with this position, where when someone threatens to get rid of you, right, and then you miraculously improve so much according to them, at least enough for them to keep you on after that, you think, okay, well, now the position is safe because they just a few days ago or a few weeks ago threatened to get rid of me, but now that I've improved according to them, they won't. And then a couple of work days later, after 3 more days, you get yanked. So you see how you lowered your guard because you didn't get yanked on the 6th day that this person said, if you didn't improve by, it would be over for you. These entry-level jobs aren't even entry-level anyway. They require to have some type of experience, which is weird. I don't know what they want. Like, I'm never going to be sympathetic toward that manager, because if someone tells you they've never done this stuff before on their application and you hire them, and then on their first day of doing multiple new things, you get so enraged as to threaten to get rid of them. I don't see me in a similar position doing that to somebody. But anyways, the idea is there that, you would think after seeing so many millions of people have jobs that it would be either easy or not that difficult to get one. Like if you just apply to a bunch of different places, you'll have somebody hire you. But it really does seem like even if you get what you want, which is to be hired somewhere, you still can't. It's like what's the way of saying it? There's a snag. Like there's this hidden way they're going to punish you, and the way they were going to punish me was, you wanted 40 hours, we give you less than half of that. You're threatened to get rid of after a couple of days. So that was the point I was making, that even with stuff that seems simple, you just can't, shake it off or actually get what you're trying to receive. Start your own company instead of only waiting for someone. Yeah, a lot of people say that. Um, Again, it's not as simple as it's made out to be. That's like someone saying, well, if YouTube won't pay you enough, why don't you make your own social media website? Like, yeah, it's not that easy. There's a reason it took a couple of guys to make these different sites. And they only became big after several years because Facebook didn't destroy MySpace until it was around 5 years old, 6 years old. And now Facebook is dying, and the only website that gets larger is Instagram because everybody on there likes to take nasty pictures of themselves. Not everyone can have a business. LOL. It's not realistic. Yeah, Euro. That's what like kills me because there's so many things that go into a business. Like you have to decide what your business is going to be about. You have to allocate resources so that you take in more than you distribute, as in you make more than you put out. You have to decide if you're going to hire other people. You have to have some kind of paperwork, if depending on what the conditions are. Like there's so many different things that you have to just. God, that's why I said people make everything so simple, and it's not. Okay, Urban World says, respectfully, I've been working from home since age 14. I'm 31 now. My dad used to cash in my money orders to me because I was too young too. Um, and then Banana said, okay, so Urban World responded to Banana and said, it doesn't take that much. I'm doing it now. Well, respectfully, sir, if it works for you, it might not work for somebody else. Hell, I even had one of my voice actors admit that if she had to do a show where her arms were constantly tied because she didn't have people willing to read pieces of paper for months, she would go crazy. Like I still have the message where that was written. She's like, I don't know how you've been doing it for this long. Oh, we're gonna get into that later. I just want to again preface this by starting off with the most simplest one. It doesn't. It depends on if you're talking about a brick and mortar. Say if you're upstairs. Okay. I don't want to derail the topic too much into discussing all the expertise that are needed for this country, for this company, not this. You talk about the U.S. next. What do you do online? Then you haven't mentioned that. Yeah, to me it just seems like a lot of these places get off on the idea of people applying to their stuff in mass. And then even when they come and get you to sit down for, because most interviews I have, I don't hear anything back. Um, and I didn't think my interview for that place that did pick me up was any better than the other places I go to. So it's just like I said, if you had told me when I was a little kid that it would take hundreds of applications to get a couple of interviews in one place to hire you, and then they don't even hire you for a full-time shift, I would have said you were crazy because it's another one of those things where you see so many people have one that you don't believe it, you know? If everyone owned a business, no one would work. Dude, I'm so done with that stuff. They're these Instafix. I have multiple streams of income online. I do FBA with Amazon selling jewelry items and accessories and eBay. I sell a lot of gaming products. I also sell on forums and do independent contracting for others. Hey, which one was it, James or was it Banana that said good for you? That's true too, but we're not everyone. So I know he can figure out if he really wanted. No, I'm so done with with all of this stuff on the computer, and it's just not reliable. Anyways, to go over to the second topic, because the voice actor thing really is something that people tend to not be able to understand. I want you to really think about this. You want to do two videos, right? Two videos about 20, 15 minutes. And you have about 6 or 7 people, and they've all recorded their stuff months ago, right? And you have this one person that just won't record their stuff. And you say, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? And then they record half of it for both of them. And you say, all right, well, you can do the rest maybe in the next couple of weeks. I'll send you this other stuff that you can do at a later point as well. And you're not telling them, hey, they have some specific deadline, but you're saying, I would like you to do this thing because you are the only person who hasn't finished it. And then after months of this person not finishing the two that they did half of, and months of this person sitting on two scripts, just week after week, month after month, you message me, say, hey, what's the status? Hello, hello, hello. And this person, by the way, likes to ignore your messages. They've admitted to this, that they ignored you in the past because of how they felt, or some kind of stuff they concocted in their head. Because you always told them, just communicate, and you'll get pretty much any extension you like. But you have to know the person's doing something, otherwise they're wasting your time. And then after your seventh attempt to contact this person, they announce that they're not going to do the thing they said they would do, meaning that they have confirmed not only are they not going to finish the thing that they did half of, but they also wasted your time for 2-3 months with some other scripts that you sent them. I don't know anyone who would have that happen and not get pissed. I was talking about China and some other country. Banana, the way you listen to these people, I mean, we can get into the school thing later, but I do want to keep what you said right here in check. Not everyone just has thousands of dollars just laying around. A lot of people actually think it's normal to just shell out a whole bunch of money on stuff that is not guaranteed. Imagine if I did have thousands of dollars lying around. Why wouldn't I keep the thousands of dollars in place of starting a business that I have no way of knowing is going to be successful with a bunch of competitors who are all more well off and more well known than me? No, the same thing applies with school. Hey, person that saved all their money, make sure you give it all to this university so that your little piece of paper can make back what it cost. No, I was really sitting there and just kind of thinking about, what was it, 5-6 years ago? I was like, man, if I had never bothered with voice actors, because when I was a kid, I used to try to make stuff like what I do now, except I didn't think it was anywhere as good because I didn't write a script. I would just draw something and then make its mouth move. I was like, wow, back then, all I had to do was just get in front of my computer and draw something, and that would be enough. Now it's, you write a whole bunch of scripts because you're trying to have some story that continues on from itself, and then you have a bunch of people that you give as much time as they'd like to record stuff, and then they still quit. I was like, wow, that's really crazy. Favorite commentator? I don't know which JD you're talking. Are you talking about Jimmy Dore? Are you talking about Jeffrey Dahmer? There's a lot of those out there. I just thought it was so crazy. All they have to do is read a piece of paper, and they won't even do it. And then they're so terrible that a normal person who does want to do something would just say, I don't want to do this anymore. You have to message this person over and over again to get them to respond. After they spend 2-3 months sitting on something that by all indications they were going to do. Man, when she sent me that message talking about I can send your thing to this voice acting channel on Discord, I didn't even respond. I didn't even read it. I saw the little headline thing pop up on my phone, completely ignored it. Imagine if everyone owned a business, it'd be utter madness in society. You can't have a bunch of everyone owning a business. Whenever you have a surplus of something, it decreases in value. Dude, Banana, if you actually go and look at the what do you call it? Oh no, it's that guy again. It's the one that was talking about that romance commentator with 900,000 subscribers that for some reason has to be promoting a channel with less than 3,000. So we're gonna ignore him. Imagine if everyone owned a business to be utter madness. I was saying that there's actually, if you go to the certain commentators on here, they've talked about this where a lot of people will try to make these videos on how to get a business started, seemingly with the expectation that everyone, after being dissatisfied with wherever they work or with trying to get a job or whatever, um, will just start to, like, have this business, and like everyone's going to have a business basically. So that's what that reminds me of. No, this guy shows up maybe like twice a month, and every time he comes, he writes something insane. I'm gonna start doing that now. I'm gonna go to Ben Shapiro's stream, be like, "You need to watch Mark Levin." That's the most backward. Like, oh, they really turn themselves into billboards. Like, I'm gonna get a little piece of paper, and like as I'm speaking, it's just gonna say go subscribe to, and then like a channel's link at the bottom of it. James, you know how they are. No one ever rewinds. When they show up, they want me to repeat everything I just said. That's why for a lot of the early minutes of streams, I'll be sitting there debating if I even want to get into the main topic, because I know that someone's going to show up, late relatively, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, please tell me this thing I could just hear if I started the stream from the beginning." They want me to turn the stream into a clip show where it's like the highlights, like, "Oh yeah, I remember when I said this 10 minutes ago." Those all right when those TV shows make episodes where it's just a bunch of old clips, like a bunch of scenes from prior episodes. Like, hey, remember that time we went there? A record of how many streams you can wear. Oh, here we go again with the homoerotic subtext. We're doing a stream where we're talking about how difficult it is to get employed, how difficult it is to get people to record stuff that they signed up for and agreed to do consensually, how difficult it is to, eventually we're going to get into this, the school situation, stuff with chicks. Why the hell would you bring up what somebody is wearing? Just an observation. But it's an irrelevant one. I could talk about you haven't put an avatar on your page in months, but I don't care because it doesn't matter. Oh, now you're asking me to strip. Wait, no, that's the other guy. Hey, tell you what, donate and I'll take my jacket off, since we're trying to get into some e-girl territory. They're trying to turn YouTube into the new Twitch. I'm telling you, I have never gone anybody's from like, I want to see what his arms look like. It's like, what the hell? I think he glued to his shirt, "These are just jokes and observations." Damn. Well, I don't understand how this is relevant to the topic being discussed. Yeah, I haven't had super chat in like 3 months. Wow. I remember last one, it was when Megumi donated, and then the whole stream went down because of Wi-Fi being garbage. The men on this website are so fruity. What was that one Flintstone cereal, Fruity Pebbles? I've been noticing what drink you're drinking and what's behind you. And it's like, he really got this. I thought Elliot was him because they have that same green background. I don't know why I would drink more than one, but okay. Very fruity. No, you don't get to. No, you don't get, when you write. What was that? 5 paragraphs about somebody. You don't get to say someone's obsessed with you. Dude, imagine if I wrote, what's a good example? Like, let's say Chris Evans made a YouTube channel, and I write 5 paragraphs talking about you lack introspection and da, 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 da. And then the police department around me, or like some different police stations, sheriff is like, hey, you need to stop harassing this man. You guys continue to be obsessed with me, but you're writing a novel about somebody else. Dude, there was some guy that was sending Ariana Grande weird stuff, like weird messages and all kind of little creepy crap. And then he was trying to say that he was being harassed by law enforcement because they told him to stop sending her this weird stuff. It's always the person who's the aggressor of like communications. Like, these people are obsessed with. It's like, no, you're the one sticking yourself over here. You told the man that his content sucks, and a month later, he's still showing up. No deviations. Everything has to be relevant. Well, I mean, isn't that kind of the point of having a chat, to interact with the person about what they're talking about? How would James like it if I went to his channel while he was streaming and talking about, I don't know, the economy, and I say, hey, let me tell you about the last time I ate some chicken. What? All right, and you continue to exist. I'm counting how many days you've gone without. Jesus Christ. I would just hope that, people like, I watch other channel streams and the chat actually talks about what they're talking about, unless it's some huge chat where it's like 100 or 1,000 people, and you still might not even get that many people who actually write stuff. But I guess I'm not offered that courtesy. People want to talk about what I'm wearing and how I speak and my voice. It's just, it's so weird, man. That's why I said it was homoerotic, because like it's always other men that do that, I mean, if Tony is really bothered by what you're saying to him, he can just leave. That's how you'll get hacked so easily on Facebook, because everyone likes to add weird people they don't even know. Oh yeah, I remember that. They add people they've never even met. They're like, oh well, I was a friend of a friend. I went to school with this one person that's in your friend list, so we need to talk to each other too. No, this stuff gets weirder and weirder, man. You are one to talk, just loves writing to me. Who wrote 5 paragraphs again? Without me even responding. That's the crazy part. He was at one point just talking to himself. Yeah, I was talking about the voice acting, and then you wanted to talk about somebody's attire. Like this is a fashion show. I already did. Well, I told you this is it's just a bunch of homoerotic subtext. I've never gone to any channel of another man and been like, "What's he wearing today? Why won't he not wear this?" I swear to you, on every deceased relative I have, I've never done that to somebody. When people were doing that to Shane Dawson, where they were saying he put on weight, he was like, "Can you stop?" Like, I don't even like that guy, but if I don't like that. Without you responding, well, you didn't make that stream centered around what I said. No, that what you said. You said it correctly in your comment. A segment of my stream. And by not responding, I mean I didn't write anything back for you to keep talking to yourself. See, at least James is not completely antagonistic. Well, yeah, you're suffering from diminishing returns when you keep showing up and doing the same old song and dance and trying to make everything about yourself, the rest of the group just kind of get numb to it. Just an anonymous tough guy. Just writing those paragraphs. If you say, I don't even know what that means. That's another nebulous term, alpha males. Dude, everybody that comes on here and like wants to do the like self-improvement advice stuff, they always never show proof that they did it themselves. Oh man, go outside, breathe in the fresh air. You seem tense. Now he's a doctor. He's a physicist. Why do you allow your buttons to be pushed so easily? Oh, now he's trying to quote the what was it, the 1986 Transformers movie? Why throw away your life so recklessly? That's a question you should ask yourself, Megatron. Now we have drama in the chat. Of course, every time he shows up, he starts something. Anyways, let me get back to these people. I think I pretty much like that. That really just bugged me to no end. The idea that you would wait there for someone for that long and then they just quit on you. Like, nah, I know I made it seem like I was going to do this thing, but not really. Yeah, first impressions are everything. I don't know. It sucks, you know. Like, and I've talked about it before, so I won't discuss it that much here. But just you do a show where you write every episode. You have to draw all the visuals. You have to edit it. You got to get all the voice actor stuff together, and then you can't make it because one person. And that's what killed me about those two. It was like I could do two more of these if this one goddamn person would just finish this stuff. You know, like that. Like you're so close, and yet so far it's just out of your reach. I mean, the way that men were writing stuff to me, you would think I was talking about their mother or their sister from all the like weird defenses and ways in which they tried to, you know, not actually think critically about what or address what I was saying. One person just messed up the whole series. Yeah, like James, the way it is that I can do 47 and 48. But after that, I'm very much screwed because I only have half of this person's stuff for 49 and 50, and then they never recorded for 51 and 52. So I have to recast them along with like two other people. So it's really irritating. It really was one person just messed up the whole series. It's always so. What was that saying? That something is only as good as its weakest link. If you're going to come into a stream act like a prick, then you can leave. You deserve any level of hostility. I'm sorry if your feelings are hurt. Yeah, they're just a really obnoxious group of people. And really, like me not wanting to do the show anymore rests entirely on if I just want to keep putting up with them and their BS. Like, they will really sit there for a whole month or two and just not do anything. And then if you say, hey, how's this coming? Or they don't respond. Bananas, I'm done with this clown. That's another reason why I've never like really been that interested in doing another project, because like when I was talking about the Dragon Ball one on Saturday, I'd have the same issue, except not as bad because it won't be as many characters, presumably. But just it's the same thing of like you always can't you come up with some story you really like, and then you can't have it materialize into an actual video because somebody won't read some lines. Person doesn't have to edit, they don't have to draw. All they have to do is just read goddamn piece of paper, and they can't do it. It's too tough. No, that one person just sat like they're the reason that one individual. Because a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that if I complain about voice actors, I'm talking about all of them or most of them or something. But it's this one person that is like the direct reason I can't make 49, 50, 51, and 52. Just that one person. And it's one thing to quit, right? Because people like to leave stuff. But it's another to quit after getting someone to believe that you would finish two of them and then do these other two as you had done in the past. So you yank this person's chain for months with no payoff. Just a complete waste of time for no reason. And that's why I was as pissed off as I was. I didn't curse him out or anything, but just the idea that someone would do that and then you're supposed to not be upset. And I was very tempted to write them some final message, saying all the things they did wrong. But then I thought to myself, you know what? Why bother? These people are almost like what's the way of saying it? There's a line in The Great Gatsby at the end of the book where what is it, Tom? Where Nick, the narrator, says, I realize that I can't tell him what's wrong because he lacks the comprehension to understand why what he did was wrong. So he just lets him wallow in his own ignorance. That's just how it is in wrestling. They don't have no challenges with the person. I'm laughing because we actually weren't talking about wrestling a week ago. Or they couldn't tell a story and it gets really boring to watch on television. Oh, another wrestling analogy, this voice actor turned heel. This person used to trust, they went full, they switched sides, so now they're like the standing in the way and screwing stuff up for months. Oh my God. I think before getting voice actors, you should negotiate scheduling. That way, if they don't commit, then that's on them because that was their. But my thing, Banana, is that if someone signs up for something and they know the conditions, right? Then why is it why are you the person who screwed things up if you kept your end of the bargain, which is you give this person all the time they need to do this stuff, but they have to at least communicate. And then when that person not only doesn't do their stuff but also doesn't communicate, I don't see where you should feel as if you did something wrong. Told you we can go through all the messages I have with them. And what's the number one thing they do? They always apologize. I'm so sorry. I know you were counting on me. Like, if I treated them so bad, why would they apologize? I'm not apologizing to them because I didn't do anything wrong. I was just a guy trying to tell a story, and I was so inconsiderate as to allow them months to record stuff. What a real sinister thing I did there, huh? It's not your fault. Like I said, it's on them because they don't commit to their responsibilities. And that's what kills me, that the whole point of giving them as much time as I did was so they could do other things. Well, again, Elliot, if they, okay, let's believe that, right? That the people want to get paid. If they sign up to something that they know is free, I'm not sympathetic to them because they're choosing to sign up for something that they know is not paying them. For example, if I get an internship with Ro Khanna, for example, and all of a sudden after a couple of months or a year, I go, I want to get paid. They're like, well, but you're the one who agreed to do this for us, knowing that you wouldn't. So Do you see how it's on me and not them? If they told me up front, this is an internship, you're not getting paid. And I go, I wish I could get hired and actually make a salary. Then go work somewhere else. Go work somewhere that will. We didn't make you sign up for this. I don't, again, I don't know what's wrong with them. It's like, how long can you take it in this world without cracking a smile? They shouldn't have signed on if they didn't, if they wanted to get paid to work. Yeah, I'm transparent about the rules of my stuff don't change from the time you sign up to the time you leave. It's them that, develop these burning ambitions or like, no, I'm ditching this. So I just don't have sympathy towards them. My sympathy was when I gave this person months to do something and then they proceeded to not do anything. Oh, that's what I did. No, when people don't respond for months, usually that's when I just go and try to look for somebody else. It just gets kind of tiring when you just have to keep doing that over and over and over again, in spite of the different things you do to keep people on, such as giving them as much time as you do. It's like you make this big sacrifice of being patient with these people, having your hands constantly tied and not being able to do all the different episodes with all the lines that you need. And then your reward is having that person that you gave time to do stuff quit on you. That's how your patience is rewarded. Somebody uploaded a video this morning. I watched it because I was up a little kind of late. And it was this guy who was so obsessed with this camera girl from another country that he paid thousands of dollars to talk to her for hours every day. And when he ran out of money, his parents, who were taking care of him, who would let him live in their home despite him being almost 30, he murdered. He shot both of them and his brother, who also took care of him at various points. It's like their concern for him and their willingness to take him in as their flesh and blood, a bullet to different parts of their bodies was how they were rewarded. That's what they received for their kindness towards him. It just seems really antithetical to get that kind of reaction from people that you treat well. It's weird. But against the internet, so I expect people to do the reverse of what makes sense. Again, the show's fate just rests on how much I'm willing to just keep putting up with that stuff. Because I did write some episodes for a season 4, but I don't know if I'm actually going to do it because I'm just tired of these people. Yeah, Elliot, and it's like his mom and dad took care of him his entire life. Like he killed them, and then here's the other. This was the worst detail. He was so desperate to talk to this stupid bimbo who he thought was in love with him despite him having to pay her God knows how much money to talk to her. He took his dead dad's finger, cleaned it of blood, and used it to unlock, I think it was the iPhone or some kind of tablet or some device, as to get into one of his accounts and use the money to pay this broad so he could speak to her again. Sorry about that. I just don't like people like that and don't feel obliged to be nice to internet. Well, you don't have to be, because remember, Banana, they've shown they have no problem being nasty to someone that's never done anything to them. Yeah, Cam girl. If you really think about it, that's not too far removed from how a lot of these chats are, the super chats, where you have a lot of streamers that only read your comment if you have if you donate to them. Killed his parents and his brother. And then his other brother, who wasn't there, when he was talking to him on the police cam, said, it's a good thing I wasn't there. I don't even think about what you would have done to me. That reminds me a lot of the Benoit thing, where a lot of people didn't know that he had a wife and two kids before he got married the second time. So it's like really disturbing to think, if any, because his older son used to come over sometimes to live with Benoit and his second wife and son. So it's kind of disturbing to think about what he would have done to his older son if he had been there. God forbid. There was something wrong with guy mentality. Well, all it was is that when people get so obsessed with a woman, they'll do a lot of insane things. It's just like, imagine spending thousands of dollars to talk to somebody just because they have a triangle. Couldn't be me. And people on here will go, "Oh, he's so evil for talking about." But I really believe that if you allow yourself to get so attached to a single broad, it can make you do very disgusting and nasty things. I can bring up another case from about 30 years ago where a guy murdered 3 people as a contract killer to get with a woman that like had this fantasy that he was going to move in with her and they were going to live somewhere happily ever after he got this money from committing all these different assassinations across the US. Because people always wanted to try harder, but deep down, everyone has a weakness of failure. Banana says love is the catalyst of madness. Told you about that woman that gave her sister up to that boyfriend of hers that he molested and then murdered. So there's a lot of disgusting stuff people do that can be tied to, being so obsessed with somebody else as to thinking they have to do everything to appeal to that person. But it doesn't get talked about because women are worth the reward, and that, if you go to the gym, they're gonna fall in love with you, and you're gonna live happily ever after, and she won't cheat on you, and she won't beg you for money or try to get famous off of you if you're more famous than she is. Yeah, they love those fantasies. Just don't get attached too quickly to chicks. Man, it's not even just a matter of getting quickly attached. It's believing that this person cares about you or cares more about you than they actually do. I knew a guy when I was in 12th grade. He wasn't anywhere near as insane as these other people, but he was so convinced this broad that he dated, I don't know, for a couple of months, few weeks, was the one, and that they were supposed to have a family together, even though she broke up with him and was like ignoring his messages and whatnot. So I don't think it's a matter of getting attached too quickly. It's just people do still believe that there's this one single woman that is the person for them. That's why I don't like that stupid stuff where people say the right one will come along and your soulmate and all. Because chicks, they bounce back from a man very quickly. Like that's why I hate that type of talk. People really believe in just the magic of broads. It's so scary. A woman's actions tell us all you need to know. I just don't see the point of getting so attached to one of them as to like believe that that person is who you're meant to be with and all this other uh, biblical Disney type stuff. I don't like that because a lot of the chicks I know in real life have kids with multiple men who they're not married to in any capacity. So that should tell you another thing about how they can quickly go from one person to another. Imagine how insane I would look. Just like a hypothetical, right? Imagine how insane I would look if I said, "Yeah, I have a kid with this other woman, but I'm coming on here because I'm so frustrated with my love life, and I think that the one is out there." People would laugh at me. They would say, "Hey, idiot! Nobody wants to date some guy with a child. They won't have to become somebody's parent to go on a date with you. Are you insane?" But again, chicks that have kids with multiple men, are still considered, on the basis of their appearance, good enough to hook up with a bunch of other guys and then start the same cycle all over again. It's a hookup culture. Bonding don't exist. Well, it does, but it's so rare to get. So beat to find inner peace and leave this rubbish behind. Just self-improving in time. You'll find the one eventually. Got to keep the fantasy spinning. That makes me want to make like a fantasy spin wheel. Just like you click it and it spins around. Fantasies make money. Yeah, that's why I don't believe in those dating coaches. I'm like, look, if a woman likes you, that's it. You know, all this other stuff just makes me like a complete waste of time. But you know, that's how people are. They like to overperform for such little results. If a man tells another guy stop thinking about women, that means he might be a little come out the closet. Well, no one is saying don't think about chicks, but I'm saying if it causes you to do violent things to other people or to them, maybe it's not okay to think about them, or you should try to let go. Self improvement is a long life pursuit, and since that's the case, I have no time for dating. The better version. What did that guy say on Saturday? The better version of you. It's like, what does that even mean? Dude, imagine I'm always gonna have the image, right, of like going to the gym for weeks or months and like having this supposed improved physique, and then you ask a woman out and you still get rejected. I'll be like, these stupid bastards on a computer. Maybe the first ones I want to curse out. Not even the broad, because she's, you know, ironically enough, I've never seen a single chick, like an actual woman, say, go to the gym and I'll go on a date with you. I've never seen that happen before. Having children with a woman who already has children by multiple men at my stage in life, what would be the point? But that's my thing. It's like this broad isn't even 30 and she has 2 kids by 2 different men who she's not married to. And like I said, I know damn well if I had one, just one by a woman that I was not with, and I came on here saying I want to date, people would mock me. But again, when you have this, it's okay. I'm trying to remember how old she is. She's like approaching 30, but again, it's like even then, that's still a whole other decade. You know what I'm saying? That if the person is with another man who they have a kid with, but they're still not married, that still leaves open a higher chance of them separating as they did with the first person they had a kid with. And a cycle just keeps repeating itself. No, I didn't know this, like, because I don't pay attention to this person. Somebody else had to tell me. I was like, what? There was a story on YT about a chick who abandoned her child and still had guys making excuses for her and saying she wasn't mentally ready to had a child as a teenager. Well, I would think if in a hypothetical, if I had a kid as a teenager, I would know better than to abandon them. Like I said, these excuses are not made for men. It's always women that have the mental illnesses that, make them. Dude, I guarantee you, if just as another example, if Benoit was a woman and he did what he did, he would have way more defenders. They'd be like, oh well, even though she killed her, 7-year-old child and husband, it's okay because she had. Except I would actually be more sympathetic because we can actually prove that his brain was 40 years past what it was supposed to be from all the chair shots and steroids and all the different factors. So I would still think that made more sense than the rest of this stuff. But like a broad who just one day drowns 5 of her kids, like Andrea Yates, I see people defend her all the time. I know damn well, dude, if I came on here or just existed after killing 5 kids of mine, just 5 kids in general, I'd be a pariah. I couldn't make one video without all the video getting thumbed down into the core of the earth. I remember that case. Dude, and you know what's funny? My grandma mixed her up with well, it's not funny, but she mixed her up with Susan Smith. That's the one that killed her two. I think she had two boys that she drowned in the lake, and she tried to say it was some black guys that took them. But she got the two of them mixed up. One had two kids, the other one had five. And, it was the whole thing of like the mom kills the kids and whatnot. You could have murdered someone if someone likes you enough, they'll overlook it. It's not kind of crazy. It is crazy because I'm getting told all my character flaws and you're this and you're that. But then people who are actually doing sinister, evil, villainous stuff to other people, they still end up having partners. Like that's what I never understood about them doing that character flaw crap. Like my character flaws don't include homicide, but people who do, which you would think is a worse one, still have a partner. Nah, man, if I had a kid and I was on here going, oh, I want to get a date, I would get mocked all over the place. You would think this was an SNL skit. They would do, what's the name of the bully from The Simpsons? They would do that. The one with the brown hair that wears that shirt, like that pink shirt. Yeah, Nelson, yeah. Thing is, if you did a terrible crime, you would set your immortality and be remembered for that instead of a YouTube account not harming anyone. Yeah, you'll have more people leave nasty comments to me about posting the video than they will to someone that kills their own kid. No, they kill me with that stuff. Again, the double standards are just all over the place. But yeah, the chick thing goes to tell the video because I've seen so many different people that have a girlfriend or a wife that the idea you would have to talk to so many of them just to get a date is insane. But I wanted to mention that there was a person who made a video about I don't like saying his name. You know what I'm talking about, the guy with the 900,000 subs. And the video was very well made, in my opinion, because she actually showed clips. Like she would show where he would contradict himself. And a lot of times people will just kind of ignore video if they just claim things about the person. So it was nice that she put in the extra effort. I rewatched the stream back when it ends. All right, cool. But this person that wears glasses and a suit when he does his streams. I'm not saying that to mock him. I'm saying that to I'm talking about without saying his name. He apparently has been divorced twice. And she made the point of how it's hard to take someone seriously about getting a successful romantic life if that person has not had a successful romantic life. Like imagine if I was giving you information on starting a business or like starting a successful enterprise, right? And then you find out I've been bankrupt 3 times. You see how if the personal biography of that person informs the legitimacy of the stuff they're claiming? I've seen guys who are unemployed, bums with girlfriends, they even live in their girlfriends' apartments. Oh, that's another. Yeah, Bren, that's what is so crazy because I was talking about how with these people that say, get money, get money, get money. Every time I see a romantic relationship in real life where there's like some kind of cash involved thing going on, it's always the man paying for the woman. Every time. Unless they're like a married couple, which is extremely rare, it's always the man paying for the woman. Well, that's because they are on the same level. Well, wait, what's because they're on the same level? Dude, every time there was a romantic thing with some broad where she was asking for where there was like cash involved, it was always the bimbo asking me for coins. Every time. That's why I said it just seems like chicks are just not worth the effort. I mean, we had a guy that came here last, what was that, Saturday or like last week, who was talking about he met his wife at 30. So it's like, but we're talking about just getting a date. Why do you have to wait multiple years and go through dozens of chicks just to sit across somebody at a goddamn restaurant? Like I don't I don't understand why it requires all this effort and these like long bouts of endurance for something I have always considered minor. That's why when I see people who are doing all of these nasty comments about the way someone looks, like, well, just to go on a date, you have to have this amazing appearance for which the world has never seen. Like, you have to go to the gym for a date, really? Think about it. Who else wants a homeless woman? Dude, the ratio of homeless men to homeless chicks is so uneven. James says that guy had to wait 20 years to get a date. Not worth it. Well, you know why he said that, right? Because he's trying to trick you into thinking that this woman who finally agrees to go on the date is the soulmate. They're the person that you've waited for so long. And like I said, when I talk to people men rather, who've had real life relationships that I can verify, all of them admit that they never had this happen to them. They didn't have to sit there for years in this perpetual cycle of nothing happening just to get a date. Or rather, they didn't have to sit there for years just to get a date and then have that one person turn out to be this individual they would spend such a long portion of their time with. All of them came to the consensus that you have to date multiple people to find someone that you actually want to, that mutually wants to, become a couple and do this other stuff. Okay, but chicks reject you just straight up. They don't know what you have to offer. So what level are you? I'm confused about levels. Yeah, that's what I think is funny, that how can you know what level someone is if you don't even do anything with them? Like, imagine if a woman, right, messages me on here and says, I'd like to go on a date. Oh, you're not on my level. It's like, well, how do I know what level she is if I don't even try? Seeing rich guys would pick up the fitness chicks in the city. So to get someone who is, yeah, it's like Pokemon, James. That's the highest level. So to get someone who is the part of the fittest chicks in the city, you need to have a car and be rich, just so this person will sit in your car. I never mentioned that time I went to the 99-cent store and I saw this woman sitting in the passenger seat of this guy's car, and I was just laughing. It's like you have this admittedly nice looking car, and then you have to go to what is literally the cheapest. It reminds me of that one time I saw that picture of that broad that was wearing like hundreds of dollars worth of jewelry and then eating $4 soup. It's like, what is that? Like, if you can spend all this damn money on, this other stuff, you would think you'd be able to buy some better food, right? When was the last time you went on a date? They turn every stream into a Q&A. I might as well just schedule a press conference and like start doing streams with a podium in front of me. It's always the same questions, like recycle. How old are you? How tall are you? What state do you live in? What's your favorite color? Do you like long walks on the beach? What kind of woman are you looking for? Would you date women outside of your race? What's your blood type? Dating just reminds me that people come and go out of your life, and it's better to just accept that. Oh no, they don't want you to accept that because then the scam doesn't work anymore. We gotta get you to keep on believing and hoping and waiting it out. You might as well just call like your romantic life a test of endurance. Like just one day, don't go on a day. Dear Lord, I was just asking. Oh, you're religious now. I bet you haven't been to church in over a year. I need my press conference badge. You know they actually have that the credentials for reporters to go to press conferences. I didn't know that until about a few years ago. I thought if you were a reporter, you just show up and sit down. Okay, well if it's damn near met with this weird remark, you can leave. If Banana is bullying you and I'm leaving you with these weird remarks, you can go. Well, I've seen guys that got a BMW or a Honda, girls be all over a guy that love to drive a stick shift. But like again, just think of what you're saying. Someone is supposed to spend, damn, I don't even know how much you get a Honda for. Let's say several $1,000s at the cheapest, so that a woman will get in his car and then they'll live happily ever after. You see why I say the juice is not worth the squeeze? Imagine me saying on here, if a woman wants me to get in her car, it better be a Honda or a BMW. I would get laughed at. No one cares. Guy talks about dating, you ask him, hey, oh yeah, we don't need a recap. This isn't Dragon Ball Z. Last time on Justin Dissinger's channel, Tony asked him a question that was not what he was talking about. And then he told him, this is not relevant to what I'm discussing. And then he started to recount what just happened as if we weren't there 5 minutes ago. It's like, all right, we get it. Oh, is that supposed to be a sneak diss to me? The difficulty of getting a woman is all adding up now. Well, I mean, hell, I'm in good company. I got whole groups that are dedicated to the same thing. It's all backwards, boys. It's pointless. But then it says Tony unironically comes here acting like a clown and gets surprised, not mocking. Who's a comedian? Dude, that was the funniest thing about that like video that got the 200,000 views. So many people tried to just put your personality is probably dry and you're uninteresting. I'm sitting here for 12 minutes on a clip, and you're gonna judge my whole personality from this little clip of me. Okay. You can tell by his responses. Again, John, you're trying to insult me with something that is affecting how many men are part of the I Word group or MGTOW or those other teams? Like, if you're really going to sit here and say that my specific personality, I should feel ashamed of because it's giving me the same result with chicks that thousands of other men at the smallest are experiencing, that's got to be the joke of the season. You can tell by his responses. Well, I hope you can tell by those different posts by men on this online of why they're having the same issue. People are really still trying to do that. They act like it's an insult to try to like say, oh, this person's not with them. Like, so many people are not with one. You know what that reminds me of? I was on Twitter and there was a guy who was trying to like, he insinuated that if you don't have a college degree, you are you have like an incestuous relationship and come from the South. And I'm like, you dingbat, most people don't have those. Like, the majority of people don't have degrees. And he really wanted to be like, I got you. My piece of paper makes me better than you. It's like, there's certain stuff that affects so many people that when you insult someone over, it's like you pride yourself in being ignorant. Hey, you can do 1,000 live streams on this complaining other men are out there trying to make it happen. Oh, I did try to make it happen. How many chicks did I approach? Like, if you think after I approach 90 chicks that I'm not trying to make it happen, you can go argue with the wall. Other men looked at themselves and realized, hey, here are my shortcomings, but I'm sure Justin will continue to do this for years to come. Well, I'm sure chicks will continue to reject men that are good for years to come. Because I've actually met men who don't have my objectionable shortcomings, and they get the same result. I've talked about being unemployed. My friend has had a job, same result. Talked about not going to school. My friend goes to school, same result. But keep on doing that. So are you trying to say that well, it's always my fault every time. So you approached 90 chicks and they all said no and it's all their fault? LOL, okay. Well, John, I mean, if you come on my stream and I block you, wouldn't it be my fault that you're blocked? Wasn't I the one who pressed the block button? See, this is what I talked about when I said it's so irritating seeing people turn their brains off. If I rejected a woman, she asked me, did I say no? It would be my fault it didn't happen. I made the decision for it not to happen with this person who was willing to do it. What test? Give us some solutions. I actually did give some solutions. It could be women's fault as much as yours. It could be a two-way street. Well, that's the thing. It's supposed to be a two-way street, but one side gets trashed on while the other gets a pass because they have this. But do you realize this is a problem affecting so many? No, it's all our fault. We're all just pieces of trash, and we should just hail down to the mighty uterus. It's all their fault. It's like, well, hell, if they're doing it to this many other men, what do you think? Oh, I know they do that on purpose. So that's why I gave the example with the degree. If something happens to a whole bunch of people and you try to hang one person over, you're gonna have to hang everybody. No, there is no two-way street. You came here trying to crucify me like I'm Jesus, and it didn't work. But here, week after week after week, and when has he said he may be wrong here or there? When has he claimed fault? It's always women. Well, hell, look in my comment section. The opposition to me, the detractors, it's always my fault. You probably approached in a weird way. You probably don't have a mouthpiece. You probably wore this. You probably have that. They have never criticized a broad ever. My comment section of men that want to sharply go after me. So you get what you gave. If one side is going to be so damn slanted as to defend chicks they've never even met on the basis of trashing one person, I think that one person should say, hey, screw all these chicks. Look at what's wrong with them. And we know something's wrong with them because they're doing this to all these other men. Because hasn't once acknowledged that he may have come across weird. What does that even mean? Or he may have been too aggressive or too shy. It's always these broads. I can't believe you don't see this. Well, again, if you guys believe so much in I should take responsibility for the decisions of women, you can just go watch somebody else. Yeah, how would you know that? James, remember they wrote that same thing on your video? You're awkward and have bad hair. When they're defending chicks, they go all out. They create so much fan fiction. and headcanon, but as Justin will spin it, he's the victim in his own. I've never called myself a victim. Well, I've also never said I was great. I just think when you tell somebody that they're going to rape someone because they do a video, or they're going to shoot up a building because they do a video, or they're ugly because they do a video, you kind of like, what reaction would you expect me to have to that? If I didn't believe in myself, I would actually let those things just be written without having a response. Too shy. He'll stream next week about broads, then the next week, then the next. I didn't know there was a time limit. Hey, here's another spoiler. I'll make a political video next week, and the next, and the next. Someone says something you don't like, and you want them to leave. Well, we asked you to leave because when we ban someone after they've insulted me repeatedly, we're told that we're censoring that person. So we're asking, hey, please stop bothering us. No, you're just being really aggressive for like no reason. It seems your motive here is to be antagonistic toward the streamer and the chat. That's been his motive like 3 times. That's why I said I have recurring villains. They just show up and start spamming stuff. And it's like, if you want to have an actual conversation where you ask somebody some questions, whatever, but don't come on here telling me I can't talk about this each week if I want to. Like, I don't see anybody else having these weird limits. You'll be cheerleading to get what? The reason we say leave or you'll be watching is because you have the option to not watch something. Like, if you think it's so boring and repetitive to see someone talk about chicks repeatedly, then just watch someone else. That's what I've done. They act like I strapped them to a chair. I'm like, you will watch this. It's not chicks' fault they reject you. It's just a waste of time if it's not getting anywhere. Pretty much. But like I said, man, if it came out that I rejected a woman, people would blame me for why it didn't go anywhere. And they'd be right because I'm the one who made the decision for it to not go anywhere. How many comments was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Damn, he was writing his paragraph in real time. His essay in real time. Back when he talked to them in high school or college. Yeah, if someone doesn't want to answer your question, they don't have to. And you didn't even answer. How dare he ask you a question? Well, if it was really a how dare, he would have been banned. Like, if I don't want to respond, I don't have to. Hell, if I wanted to, I could just do a stream where the chat just talks to itself and I talk about something else. Are you guys in cahoots? Something seems off. Well, they do have those team ups where they all get together and plan this stuff out. I don't know. When I got rejected back in the day, because he's very successful now, I actually questioned if I did something wrong. Well, I did too, but like I said, when people keep telling you you're a piece of garbage, Just because someone doesn't want to go on a date, I don't see where it's a productive thing for your confidence to beat yourself up over what seem to be a group of chicks that have a universal thing of just turning down a whole bunch of men. Again, if I did these videos and the whole comment section, people saying, "Oh, I have a girlfriend, I have a girlfriend too, I have a girlfriend, I have a girl," I would go, "Oh man, there's something wrong with me." But when I go online and I see a bunch of men who have had the exact same experience of talking to a whole bunch of chicks that gas you up and tell you how great you are and all this other trash, but then will throw you out like an old coffee table in the heartbeat when you ask them on the dates. I think something is wrong with them. No, that in general, when you do a video on this, and then people attack you, other men attack you. Yeah, it's the Streisand effect where they cause the opposite to happen. Like you keep beating down on someone, tell them they're just a piece of garbage. You get the reverse result. I get that men struggle with women, I really do, but the world's tough. Women don't owe us men anything. Well, I have not said that women owe me something. So, what did Tony say earlier? That I was putting words in his mouth. That's being done to me now. Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. Tony, you just opened a Pandora's box. Here's how this is going to go. When people cast doubts on the way I recount something, the onus is now on them to prove what they're talking about. So if Tony is truly in a relationship and wants us to take him seriously about doing all these things that magically worked, I'd like to see a video of him and his person he's with. And they don't have to appear on camera. He could just point the camera at the wall if he wanted to. I'd love to see this. I know what you can do to get a relationship. I know it's not the way you are. Oh, what the? I don't ban him because he didn't write anything nasty. Uh, yeah, I've seen that guy before. He's not. Let me. How do I? Are they really not going to let me unban him on my own? What the hell? Uh, well, look, I didn't want him to get in because I'm just so tired of people saying that stupid stuff. You ban anyone that disagrees with you. Like they write nasty stuff to me. I'll just sit there like, all right, whatever. Then maybe the women should approach men they're interested in instead of expecting men to approach. Yeah, like if we know that chicks won't even approach men that they find attractive, what's the point of approaching them? If they're gonna like talk to you for weeks and months just to say I'm not interested in you. And that's what kills me about the like you did something wrong thing. If I did something wrong, why would they talk to me for that long? I had a bimbo who I spoke to for 10 months, still got rejected. And it's like they'll really sit here and tell you maybe you did something wrong. You were able to trick her into speaking to you for that long because you're secretly Professor X and you manipulated her with telepathy. That's what really kills me because, like, if I just go up to a broad and ask her for a number and she rejects me, whatever. But we're talking about chicks that you'll sit there for weeks and months and they will gas you up so much. Oh, we have a connection. We're friends. I don't want to lose you. And then nothing happens when you ask them out that actually goes anywhere. It's just the same cycle over and over again of these people that you speak to for some continuous period, telling you how important you are to them. And then if you ask them for a date, which again is sitting at a movie theater for 2 hours or going to a restaurant for an hour and never having to do it again if you don't like it, they can't do it. It's too tough. So I said this chick stuff will drive any normal man insane because it's not just you get rejected by someone. It's you get rejected by someone who gasses you up to be something or someone they actually like, and then it goes nowhere, and you're expected to just keep doing the cycle over and over until the end of time. There have been many chicks videos who say they are scared of approaching guys and prefer they initiate first contact. Yeah. Women do that type of stuff. People in general do that. That's just like Here we go again. Nobody said that men don't do this to people, even though I personally have never seen a man sit there and talk to some woman for months. And then when she asks one day, he's like, I just consider you a friend. It's always the chick doing that to the guy. But okay, let's say that men do that as well. That doesn't mean it's good or that that's something you would look at and go, yeah, I can't wait for that to keep happening to me over and over. Like, if there are so many men online who are affected by this, you're really going to see them be like, he is refusing to take responsibility. It's like, well, hell, look at all the other people they do this to. Men don't have the pictures or receipts to show they are with. Okay, I didn't get to see. Took it down. Yeah, dude, James. Imagine if you had a girlfriend and you're like watching videos by men on like how difficult it is to get a date. Like, what is that? See what's here. It's better to just acknowledge that no one owes us anything at the end of the day. Well, no, you owe women, a bunch of exercise and acquiring loads of funds, just to maybe get a date with them. So that's not true. We owe women, all of these efforts because they're all so prosperous and amazing. And be more cautious about the people you associate with and establish boundaries. Are you trying to change our minds about this dumb subject? What is your goal for being here? I'm just wondering. Where's that comment he wrote? Uh, it just seems to me that if you find a bunch of chicks you're content with, like you're just fine with all of them, at least for the purpose of going on a date. Maybe some of them you wouldn't actually want to become a couple with if you got to know them more in this capacity. And then they just keep turning down you and a bunch of other men to where there's like whole groups dedicated towards that. It seems really insane to then say, oh, yeah, it's the men's fault. The men that are fine with the chicks aren't fine with them. Yeah, the men are the reason this isn't working. It's always the men. Told you, I thought the world of my best friend. I thought he was perfect. Um, I remember the first time we spoke in about a year was when I was ninth grade, and he was in, I think, eighth grade. And he was talking about the chick stuff. And, I began to understand I was listening to quite a man. So to know that someone who I thought the world of was having the same problem, especially years later as he improved, as far as these people would say in having education and getting a job, I just thought it was almost a crime. How could someone who was this great have this same issue? Same thing when I came online. Like, there's just so many men affected by this that to sit here and try to pigeonhole me into being this character who's trying to portray himself as the victim, I just think is ridiculous. American women like average black men only when they are of the current hip hop culture. Well, James, they put words in my mouth. I've never said chicks owe me anything. I just think we don't owe them anything either. Like, I'm not telling chicks they need to go to the gym to get a date with me or to become a millionaire or famous to go on a date with me. It's always that. That's why I did the video called "What Can a Woman Do for You?" Because it's always the man that's being asked to do all of these extraneous steps just to get the tiniest bits of slithers of romantic reciprocation from abroad. A lot of it comes down to luck and opportunity too. Yeah, but it's like, how good are these opportunities and what's lucky about them? Like, I told the story of the guy that paid for the broad storage unit while she cheated on him and cursed him out. I don't want to be with someone like that, who obviously is using you for your money and who is unfaithful and is being a prick at the same time as these other two things are in effect. It's like a triple threat of just garbage. But he accepted it because that was the only chick that was willing to go on a date with him, and It's just another testament to how when you don't have options, you're expected to just accept everybody for who they are, while not being accepted for who you are. That's why I said it was so unfair, and you know, it's like they're confused as to why I would say, okay, I'm just going to criticize the chicks because all I do is see men get criticized, and in pretty ridiculous ways. Like I don't sit here talking about this woman is too ugly for me. It's like I don't think they're talking about stuff that I still don't get down in the trenches enough to discuss. That's the saddest thing about the truth behind the mask. Very true. Like I said, man, so much stuff that you would just think would be simple is like in the modern era turned into this over complicated, stretched out, dragged out, gang raped process. Like millions of men have had a girlfriend or a wife, but now thousands of men have to sell online and get rejected over and over again while being critiqued over every single thing known to man for the sake of not criticizing chicks. It's always you who's the person with the problem. You want to do a show where you ride out, you do everything except the voices, and then you have your hands tied for most of the year waiting for someone to record something that they never do and ultimately end up wasting your time with. You want to work somewhere because you've seen millions of people have jobs, and then you get hired somewhere where they barely give you any hours despite you saying on your application that you want 40 hours, and then you have to keep playing this game of applying to a bunch of places that either don't say anything or if they have an interview, they decide to not actually hire you, but just smile in your face and pretend that they're interested in you as a candidate. They turned everything into just being overly complicated because it involves other people consenting and they just can't make up their minds. And if they do, it's usually in a direction you don't want. I'm not going to live my life regardless. I'm just going to live my life regardless of whether or not I get a girlfriend. The luck is meeting the right person. Luck on the care is chance of encounter. I don't know what right person is either way, because like I said, you meet somebody you're fine with, they still reject you. So what difference does it make? In the right place at the right time. So we might as well bring a 4-leaf clover. Like we really chalked it. So like all these men online just have garbage luck. Again, this isn't just something that affects me and a couple of people in my chat. It's a whole groups of men just talking about this. And then what's even scarier is that you got to remember there are men that don't even post online about this who have the same problem. When my friend did that stream with me 3 years ago, or rather it's almost 3 years ago, back in June of 2018, he had never posted. He's still to this day, the only public acknowledgement of him having problems with chicks was that stream. So there are men that like there's a secret number that don't talk about this online that are affected by it just as well as someone that discusses it. I think we should talk about something else. I'm about to get off here anyway because I already pretty much said everything I wanted to say. We had 2 antagonists show up. Still sounds stupid to me. I agree. Guys, you can use this model to reflect all this stuff. The juice is not worth the squeeze. If you have to do 100+ applications to get a job where they don't even give you enough hours to take care of yourself, despite you saying you need this many hours, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. If you have to keep recasting voice actors after they just keep quitting on you, despite you giving them all the time in the world to do their stuff and just asking them to communicate, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. If you have to talk to a number of chicks that you lose count of just to sit across from one of them at a restaurant or sit next to them at a movie theater, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Like it should be a certain level of difficulty that you don't need to expect from this type of stuff because it's not meant to be this difficult. And people have made it that hard for no reason. Ratio is now 1 in 1,000. No, you really have men that post here, talk to 5 chicks every day. I was like, what's wrong with you? Talk to 5 chicks every day for how long? A year? You really think somebody's gonna sit here and talk to 200 chicks to get a date? Are you nuts? That's why I said that this woman stuff will drive anyone nuts. The advice that's given, the things people say to you. And like I said, if people want to sit there and keep talking to chicks, I don't care. Let them. I'm not in anyone's comment section saying you need to stop doing this because whatever. Waste your time if you want. It's your time, not mine. But you come here and get so offended to where you're writing paragraphs. I'm not even talking about Tony. I'm talking about the other one. Like you're so angry that like you're just doing this. It's like relax. I don't understand it at all. I think it's really sad that men get this worked up over the love life of another man and all the other stuff that's been discussed here today. And it's weird too. Like I don't see these like let's go way of saying it. Handicaps put on other stuff I talk about. Like no one ever tells me you've made too many videos about politics. It's only this where there's a time limit. Well, like I said, Jem, if you, the only this goes back to the whole thing of imbalance. If someone is not overweight, why do they have to date someone who is overweight? I don't understand it. Just like if I did become a millionaire, why should I have to date a chick that doesn't have a pot to piss in? Why do I need to buy a car that costs thousands of dollars so that one of these broads will speak to me? That's why I compared this to Disney because it's like fairy tales. Like people don't actually think this stuff out. They just type anything to try and see if they can get see if something sticks. No critical thinking is involved. I'd be laughing too, Megumi, if this stream just didn't solidify how so many things that you would think would be simple are turned into. I'd say probably the thing that surprised me the least was the school thing because from the time I was a kid, I was hearing about how expensive it was to go. It's just insane to me that the adults who knew this as well didn't save up anything. That's what killed me about that. Well, if women that are skinny don't want to date men they don't find attractive, why should men who are not overweight have to date women they don't find attractive? Yeah, one day. Like I said, if it's a broad like the one that made that guy pay for her crap for a year while she cheated on him, I'm good. Keyword your experience. Besides, I have all different kind weights of chicks. Treat me nice, truly so. Dude, next thing you know, they're gonna be telling you to date somebody that's blind or that is paraplegic or something. Like it's like I don't have a problem with people having ailments that they can't control, but this goes back to what I was talking about. And I said you have to accept chicks for how they are while being trashed for who you are. And you're not being trashed because you committed some great crime that has destroyed people's lives simply because you're single. And they don't want to accept the idea that maybe there is nothing wrong with that man. That's why I said the self improvement stuff is a joke because I want you to understand something. This entire room could change, and I could have, I don't know, some kind of proof of showing that I became a millionaire or went to the the gym, or whatever other stereotypical stuff they say. And all they're going to do is just crap on you again because it never stops. I think the best chance for me is probably some gold digger, but like I said, I'm not interested in that. Um, it sucks, but it is what it is. Oh, I wish people could have an actual discussion where they don't try to throw in sneak disses and all the rest of that. It's not necessary. But again, it's like, what does that even mean? So you go to this other country and then you, in the span of a couple of days, meet someone that falls in love with you. Is she going to come back to California with me, or am I going to stay over there? Like, what? That's why I said it's Disney. I kept getting, and you know what kills me about like them saying that? They act like all these chicks I speak to are in the same place as me. I spoke to a broad from Trinidad, spoke to one from Australia, spoke to one from the UK. You get the same result. Different country, same bimbo. We can never have a civilized discussion about chicks on here without getting, I don't know what they are. Recurring villains. Like, dude, if I said somebody was like not good a month ago, you would not see me show up on their stuff 3 or 4 more times. It's amazing what chicks will do for a US visa. Oh, they are Decepticons. They just don't do as good a job as they used to of hiding their intentions. Like, people really have never understood what that friend zone stuff. The whole reason that's screwed up is because you're asking them to go on a date that they don't like, they never have to do again. And then to get that date, they want you to sit there and talk to them for possibly weeks, possibly months, possibly years. And it's like, you really don't get why that shows how insane they are, that to just do this one thing with them, you need to have all of these discussions. Like, then what's the point of the date? Why don't you just go get married if you know everything about them by the time you're done getting to know them? I never would have guessed it would have been this hard to just do something like that. Mediocre man, yeah. They're really lucky I have a standard of like not putting chicks pictures up, because I would show so many different examples of like just men that are in shape or skinny getting with the broad that oh my god, that friend zone video says it all. Very well constructed. Thanks. They want you to do so much stuff just to get abroad to go on a date. It's like, this has to be a cartoon. And then it's like when they talk about evolving and self-improvement, it's like, okay, if you have to be a millionaire to get a date, how do you have guys that date chicks in middle school or high school? Like, that's why I always say I don't believe in this stuff, because every time you take something that they say and apply it to real life, you can find people who had a partner or someone they were with without doing that stuff. Yeah, I would just pay for one because I would just rather get it over with than sit here and keep spinning my wheels. Does anyone in your family ask you about how dating is for you? Uh, yeah, and I always tell them the same thing, that if you have to do all this stuff to get a date, it's not worth it. And when they do, they dismiss it and then talk about it. Well, yeah, because they're not actually trying to understand how you feel. They're just sitting there using it as an excuse to trash you for who you are. Like, you will never see a single woman get addressed by people online, and like just the fact that she's single. Have you ever asked yourself if it was you that was the reason why it didn't work? You would never see it. The only person I ever sought out for dating advice was a man who was married for over 40 years. It's like if he couldn't, and toward the end, I stopped even asking him. So it's like if he couldn't convince me, why would random people on the computer, who for all I know have never dated a damn day in their life, suddenly be able to sway me to their ways? You know, like just they don't think. As soon as someone starts to criticize the dating field, all these alleged successful guys jumping out of nowhere, isn't it strange? Yeah, like if they're, I don't see a scenario where if I was successful in getting a partner, I would be watching this type of stuff. And I wouldn't shame anyone over being single, but like don't come on here trying to act like you're some prophet on how to get with someone. Just like that guy that they keep watching. The broad said it best. She said, I'm supposed to look at a guy who's been divorced twice, tell me about the success of his of getting with a partner. Really? Well, none of them have ever experienced this, so they could never understand. They think if you just wear this or act, they say stuff that's not as offensive as the stuff people write on here, but they turn it right back into the game of attacking you over everything, and it's just that I don't need that toxicity at this point. I get enough of it on the computer. Only way it could be my fault is if I pushed chicks who showed me interest due to my standoffish demeanor or attitude, but were turned off. Well, that's my thing. That how would we know what demeanor or attitude you have if we weren't there? That's why I said these people create fan fiction, because it's one thing to say, I think you should do this. It's another to say, I believe you did this with no proof. And like I said, I don't do this to people. Like I've met single chicks in real life, and if they tell me about what happened with them in their past partners, I'll just give them the benefit of the doubt, because I'm not looking to create stories to like justify whatever happened to them. This is enough toxicity to last us for a lifetime. I just don't understand why they're so needlessly hostile. Like you wouldn't see me do this to other people. Is the point I make. That it's just, you don't have to attack someone and tell them they're ugly and you wore this and all that. It's not necessary. It's your fault the women said no. Like, well, again, I know that if I did a video where I showed a screenshot of me rejecting a woman, people would say it was my fault, it didn't go anywhere, and they'd be correct. But that's why I said that, like, if they can find me guilty in situations where they find the woman innocent, that's how you know it's slanted. It really is so eye-opening just how much this has escalated as time passed. No, it sucks that you have to do all this stuff to just get a date. I think that's insane. On that video I did, the one with the 200,000 views, I had like three chicks try to like start romantic stuff. I mean, each one I spoke back to them, and then they do that thing of, oh, I don't think this will work out, even though I have no reason to know that because we've never gone on a date. It's like, so to get a couple of chicks to show interest, you have to have a semi-viral video? Really? Everybody has to do that? So I said that the chick stuff will drive you nuts, because you're expected to do all of these extraneous things just for the tiniest bit of affection from abroad, and a lot of times it just isn't worth it. That's why I gave the example of the hookers, because I would rather have someone who upfront says, I don't care about you, but we'll do this thing if you pay me a price. Just do that instead of, oh, let me sit here and pretend to like you for months or weeks. Once you get one, it will drive you nuts as a whole in a whole different. Well, I talked about that before, that whole like fairy tale thing of the one, your soulmate is coming and she's going to be so great and never cheat on you. And it's like, all that stuff starts up after that. I didn't even do that video. Wow, I still have to edit it. The one that talks about that in a more concise manner. No, anytime you want to do something that requires another person, they will screw it up. Hell, I actually was talking to someone on Saturday that said the same thing about how when they want someone to do something for them, if it gets done, it has to be them. Like if they ask a person, hey, can you go to Home Depot? Hey, can you go over here? Like it's crazy because they don't do any of this computer stuff, completely off the internet, right? And it's the same way. Like you just, people are so damn incompetent. You can't depend on them for anything. And the stuff they were talking about, again, has nothing to do with online. These people they know in real life act the same way as the ones online. You ask them to do something, and then they're just spinning your wheels. I was like, oh my God, it never stops. No, I just thought about that. They really just told me that on Saturday, and like it all goes back to this. Oh, it is the Twilight Zone. Like, imagine meeting a woman who you think, like, just again, like, let's say we believe all the stuff they say, right? Like, oh, you mean so much to me, da, 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 da. And she says, hey, can we go on a date? You never have to do it again. And then you're like, this is too tough. You have to pay for anything. All you have to do is show up to this place. And like that stuff makes a little bit of sense for some of the online ones that live in other countries. Like the one I talked about that was in Australia, who actually agreed to marry me. And then, I don't even want to get into that 3-month stupid saga. But it's like for a woman that lives in the same state as you, that is like in another city that's about a 2-3 hour drive, and you could do this over the course of a weekend. I'm not sympathetic because this is a person who it would require very little for them to actually do this, especially with someone who they said they were willing to accept for who they were. I still have the screenshot of that. I can't wait to see that get spinned into being my fault. We know this woman asked you out, but you must have done something to her. That should be the ultimate proof that it doesn't matter how far you get with the broad, they can always just pull the plug and they'd be right back to square one. Because if you had told me 2 or 3 years ago a woman would ask me on a date and I would still get rejected, I would have said you were full of crap. There's no way a real life person would do that. Maybe in like some kind of comedy movie, but not in real life. No, in real life they do that. That's why I said it's like a comic book, because in comics they have a status quo of certain characters that they can't let advance in certain stuff. And they might maybe take them out of that for a little bit, but then they always get them back into that same position. That's how this was. It was the status quo of you're supposed to just keep approaching chicks forever and ever and ever, kept going. Even after meeting one who seemingly said she was going to, be different. But, it's all the same. It was just another cruel joke. And that's just so irritating to me because I really, like I told you, she initiated all the romantic stuff for that. Anyways, I'm gonna get off here. It's been almost 2 hours. I'm sorry for the men that are offended that I talk about the things I want to talk about on my own channel. I do encourage you to watch somebody else because I think there's really no point in watching someone who you don't think is discussing things you'd like to hear. Like that doesn't make much sense to me. But it is what it is. They just come here to like cause drama. So thanks Megumi, thanks Banana, thanks James, thanks Jem. Who else is here? Thanks Mr. I don't know how to pronounce the rest of your name. Thanks Brandon, and we can cut this off. So see you.